and welcome. Tonight, former Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola advocates mandatory training for newly appointed ambassadors as part of Nigeria's reputation management strategy. There will be no letting down in the fight against drug barons. That's according to NDLEA Chairman Buba Marwa. Federal government targets foreign investment in solid minerals at ongoing World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. And U.S. President Donald Trump renews calls to take over Greenland as French President Emmanuel Macron warns of a shift towards a rule-less world.
On business news, Central Bank reports increase in loan defaults by households and corporates in Nigeria's Q4 2025.
On sports news tonight, tens of thousands of Senegal fans flood the streets of Dakar to mark Teranga Lions' AFCON victory over Morocco.
And from the nation's capital, bandits kill 5 soldiers and a police inspector in ambush in Bingi Kekunwaje Gusau Road in Zamfara State.
We begin tonight with enforcement on drug-related offences, as the chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, is vowing to intensify efforts to deal with drug barons, intercept drug traffickers, and ensure that illicit drug is removed from the streets. He stated this during the award and recommendation ceremony for some personnel of the agency at the NDLEA headquarters in Abuja.
In the last 5 years, we recorded significant operational successes, including the arrest of 77,792 drug offenders, including 128 identified drug barons who were central to major trafficking networks. We seized a total of 14,847,000 kilograms of assorted illicit drugs, thereby significantly disrupting both local and transnational supply chains. The agency successfully prosecuted and secured convictions against 14,225 offenders, reinforcing deterrence and affirming that drug crime attracts consequences. The next phase of our operations demands even more grit and more tactical sophistication. We will not rest until every drug baron is behind bars, every trafficker is intercepted, every mule is caught, and every single gram of illicit drug is removed from our streets.
And the federal government has assured global investors of the country's huge potential in the solid minerals sector. At the Global Business Roundtable on the resilient supply chain for the energy transition, held at the Nigeria House in Davos, Switzerland, on the sideline of the 56th World Economic Forum, the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development, Farouk Yabo, told investors that the administration of President Bola Tinubu is providing an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. Our correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
The Nigeria House in Davos is packed full as the country engages investors attending the 56th World Economic Forum. The focus here is on opportunities for investment in the solid mineral sector.
The permanent
secretary of the Federal Ministry of Solid Minerals Development sets the tone for the conversation.
The administration's renewed hope agenda. Nigeria is currently undertaking huge structural reforms to diversify our economy, unlock growth, and build productive sectors that are meant to create jobs and long-term value. And of course, central to this is the transformation of the solid mineral sector, which
the discussion moves into a panel session which focuses on resilient supply chains for the energy transition. The federal government says it has the natural resources that the world needs.
If you look at the sea's natural resources, which the global world economy cannot survive without today, we all have all these in Nigeria. When you talk about the first one being sand, salt, copper, iron ore, lithium, and the last one being oil. 5 of the 6 is solid minerals.
what we are doing is to create the enabling environment in Nigeria, talking about setting a global company that can engage with partners, also talking about organizing our artisanal miners. So what we have done in Nigeria is to set up a very clear strategy that will allow for global players to find comfort in investing in this particular space.
Also joining the conversation is the president of the Swiss-Uganda Chamber of Commerce. She says the chamber is also willing to do business with Nigeria.
We are really open to engaging with Nigeria House, engaging with other partners interested in doing business in Uganda. In Uganda itself, we also have several minerals available. We have about 10 gold refineries. We have cement, we have lithium, we have several minerals.
In the coming days, Nigeria will be engaging with more investors in various other sectors at the World Economic Forum. From Davos, Switzerland, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
The former governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, is recommending reputation management education for the newly appointed ambassadors before their deployment to enable them represent Nigeria well on the global stage. Mr. Fashola gave this recommendation when he delivered the keynote address during the Nigeria Reputation Summit 2026 in Abuja. Other dignitaries present at that event include the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, the chairman of Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, president of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Dr. Ike Neliako, among others. Our correspondent, Kogi Aboluwade, reports.
The Nigeria Reputation Management Group, an initiative of the Nigeria Institute of Public Relations, convened its first Nigeria Reputation Summit with the theme, Better Reputation, Better Nigeria.
For far too long, Nigeria's reputation, both at home and abroad, has been shaped more by fragmented narratives than by coordinated strategy, more by reaction than intention. This summit is our collective response to that reality.
Citing examples of Nigerians topping global streaming charts to young innovators winning global tech competitions and the just concluded African Cup of Nations, where the Super Eagles clinched the third position. The chairman of Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, who doubles as the chairman of the body of advisors of the group, asserts that Nigeria's excellence needs to be reflected on the global stage and not overshadowed by negative headlines.
Reputation today moves faster than policy cycles. One viral moment can travel the world before a committee is convened to study it. And investors now price trust alongside interest rates when deciding where to commit capital. And in a digital world, culture and creativity are national assets influencing global perception in ways never seen before. That is why this summit matters. We are here not to defend Nigeria or even merely to celebrate it. We are here to strengthen it, to make sure our systems, our communication and our actions match the excellence of our people.
After his speech, Dr. Momo is joined by other board members for the inauguration of 2 members into the group. According to the 2025 Reputation Perception Index of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Nigeria's overall reputation score is about 32%. The president of the institute believes the upcoming 2026 World Public Relations Forum, which will be hosted by Nigeria, can boost the nation's reputation.
Hosting the World Public Relations Forum is not a joke by any consideration. It is a very delicate thing, a country project with many dimensions across the world. If we host it well, which I believe we will, it will raise the nation's global respect.
The keynote speaker is a former governor of Lagos State, Mr. Fashola, and he further drives home the message of reputation management with an advice to the federal government to boost the brand Nigeria.
Now that we have appointed ambassadors, preparatory to posting, high-level, intense sharing of policy positions, what's our fiscal position, our tax laws, incentives for investments, what's our position on oil and gas, what's our position on mineral mining. They must have handy knowledge and information to really represent us. How long does it take to register a business in Nigeria? They must know that. So it's important, and it must be a continuing engagement.
Nevertheless, the two-time minister believes the task of improving Nigeria's reputation requires the cooperation of all Nigerians.
Unfortunately, we have seen a few examples of some people who give us a bad reputation, and we are now at the point where some countries have the audacity to tell us, don't come to our country. Now, are we submissive and surrendering and apologetic? Or are we really the giants that we are, with pride to say, we will take this on the chin, but we will not come. And we will remake, and we will rebuild, and we will have parity again.
The keynote address is followed by a presentation of an award of excellence and the conferment of the Fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations on the former governor. Over the years, Nigeria's reputation has been perceived as flawed due to certain areas. Now, while Nigeria's story continues to be told and written, this group believes there is hope to promote a better reputation and a better Nigeria that can stand the test of time. From the Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Center in Abuja, Kumbi Aboluade, Channels Television News.
And staying with the Nigeria Reputation Summit 2026, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who was the guest of honor, called on Nigerians in the public and private sectors to take shared responsibility for building and protecting the country's reputation. The minister, who says that the federal government has made notable achievements, insists that Nigeria is set on a roadmap of excellence.
A reputation score of 35.2% places Nigeria in a low trust band and highlights a gap between our potential and the global perception that we have. This, however, is not a verdict. It is a mirror. And responsible nations must have the courage to look into that mirror and act swiftly. And I think that is what we are beginning to see today. It is also important to note that much has changed since the data used for this report was first gathered. In the last 2 years, Nigeria has embarked on a new reform path under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Of course, we are not where we want to be, but we are also not where we were 2.5 years ago. While perception often lags behind reality, progress is being made, and it must be communicated clearly, consistently, and honestly. Democracy has endured more than 27 uninterrupted years. Political participation is open, plural, and competitive. our press remains one of the freest in the world. No matter what you say, we have press freedom in Nigeria. These are not small achievements, and they speak directly to leadership, to credibility, and to communication, which are key pillars of building any reputation.
In part two, after the break, former Petroleum Minister Daisani Alison Madueke appears in London court for preliminary hearing over bribery allegations. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Former Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola advocates mandatory training for newly appointed ambassadors as part of Nigeria's reputation management strategy. There will be no letting down in the fight against drug barons, and that's according to NDLEA Chairman Buba Marwa. Federal government targets foreign investments in solid minerals at ongoing World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. And U.S. President Donald Trump renews calls to take over Greenland as French President Emmanuel Macron warns of a shift towards a ruleless world. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC Zonal 1 Directorate in Lagos, has arraigned Sarumi Samsudeen Babafemi, an associate of suspected internet fraudster Ismaila Mustafa, popularly known as Monfa. Babafemi, alongside his company 606 Autos Limited, 606 Music Limited, and Splash Off Entertainment Limited, were arraigned on a 5-count charge bordering on conspiracy, concealment, and transfer of proceeds of crime to the tune of 206 million naira. And that's contrary to Section 3321 of the Criminal Law of Lagos State, 2011, and punishable under Section 3323 of the same law before Justice Rahman Oshodi today. The defendants pleaded not guilty to the charges. The prosecution counsel, Anyofe Ogunshina, then asked the court to fix a date for the commencement of trial and asked the defendants be remanded at a correctional center. However, the defense counsel, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Kunle Adegoke, informed the court that he had only received the charge the previous day. Justice Oshodi granted the application and ordered that the defendants be released to his counsel upon the filing of an affidavit of undertaking to produce him in court on the next adjourned date. The case has now been adjourned till March the 24th, 2026 for commencement of trial. And ahead of the full trial of alleged financial infractions against former Minister of Petroleum Resources Daisani Alison Madueke, she has appeared before the Southwark Crown Court in London for the preliminary hearing of her case bordering on bribery charges. The case was listed on the cause list for Court 8 before Justice Thornton on Monday this week, and that's ahead of her full trial, which is scheduled to commence on January the 26th, 2026, which is expected to last for 10 to 12 weeks. The 65-year-old has been on bail since she was first arraigned in London in October 2015. She was denied 6 charges referred against her. Mrs. Madueke was formally charged in 2023 by the UK's National Crime Agency with offences of accepting bribes between 2011 to 2015, while she served as Nigeria's petroleum minister. According to the indictment, Alison Madueke benefited from at least £100,000 in cash, chauffeur-driven cars, flights on private jets, and the use of multiple London properties, among other charges. We head to the nation's capital, Abuja, now, where Gloria Omezoke is standing by to bring us more stories on the news at 10. Over to you, Gloria.
Thank you indeed, Anne. From the courts, we turn attention to security matters. About 5 soldiers and a police inspector have been killed by bandits in an ambush in Zamfara State. According to a top security source who spoke on condition of anonymity and confirmed the incident to Channels Television, The victims attached to Operation Fasinyama were traveling along Benin Kwatakashi to Gusau when the attack occurred. The police inspector, identified as Inspector Ibrahim, and 5 soldiers were reportedly shot and killed, while several other personnel sustained injuries and have been taken to a specialist hospital in Gusau. However, the spokesperson of the Joint Task Force Northwest Operation Fasinyama, Captain David Adewusi, told Channels Television that he has not received information on the incident. And over to Plateau State, where Governor Caleb Mutfwang has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to sustaining peace, security and development across the state. Governor Mutfwang made the commitment when he received the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shuaibu, on a courtesy visit at the new government house in Jos. He commended the Nigerian Army and other security agencies for their resilience and professionalism in confronting security challenges in Plateau and across the country.
We continue to look for how to deepen non-kinetic engagements to complement the kinetic engagements that have been going on. It is true that we still have areas that we must deal with. I've said about the challenges we're facing in Kanam, in Wase, where these have become some strongholds of some sort, and in Kwanpan, where the bandits and insurgents have tried to establish camps and cells. We'll continue to count on the collaboration of your officers and men to flush out all these elements that have put our nation in peril. I have said it times without number that some of these insurgents and terrorists, we must see them as enemies of state and who are threatening the sovereignty of our country, and we must deal with them as such.
The Army Chief also commended the Plateau State government for its cooperation with the military, emphasizing that peace and stability remains a shared responsibility, requiring sustained partnership between the government, the military and the people.
The crisis on the plateau is surmountable, and with all hands on deck, that will be done. And I want to assure you, from our own part, we'll do all our best to ensure that we mitigate as much as possible. And together we're working together for a vision of Plateau State, where we can see a vision that once we go to actualize that, Plateau State will be better for everybody. And hopefully, under your steady leadership, that's going to be achieved.
And Governor Usman Ododo of Kogi State has issued a stern warning to criminal elements hibernating in rural areas of the state to immediately relocate or prepare to face massive onslaught from security agencies in the state. Governor Ododo gave this warning in Lokoja, the capital of Kogi State, when he unveiled 2 advanced security drones and a new fleet of security assets procured by the state government to boost security operations across the state. According to him, the safety of the people of the state is his administration's priority and assures that he will not relent in supporting security agencies to get rid of criminals.
The Chari Megumeri Barracks in Lokoja, the Kogi State capital, is hosting several dignitaries, including royal fathers, servant and former lawmakers, and heads of security agencies.
Thank you. Thank you.
They are here to witness the launch of the newly acquired state-of-the-art security drone to support the fight against insecurity in the state.
The message is that the state is watching, the state is prepared, and the state will act.
The initiative is considered a significant step in the state's security capabilities and technological advancement to tackle criminal activities. The residents are urged to share timely information.
The introduction of this combat drone is a game changer for our state security architecture. It's a testament to our commitment to leveraging technology for safer communities and more secure future.
This development reflects a forward-looking approach to security management, particularly in leveraging technology as a force multiplier.
In his speech, Governor Usman Ododo clarifies his position on negotiations with terrorists, vowing to confront them.
We have said it before, and we will say it again today. Kogi State will not negotiate with criminals. We will not surrender our communities. We will not allow bandits or terrorists to take over any part of our land. Our government is fully prepared to confront, attack, and defeat all criminal elements operating within our territory.
He expressed his profound gratitude to President Bola Tinubu and the nation's security leadership for the unwavering support in combating banditry and other criminal elements in Kogi State.
Silence protects criminals. Cooperation protects communities. I urge everyone to continue to support intelligence gathering and early warning system.
The security drones are then commissioned. The drones have the capacity to cover large areas, about 50 kilometers, and is expected to be deployed for surveillance, detecting unauthorized areas, monitoring sensitive zones, and providing real-time alerts.
We turn attention to Gombe State, where Governor Inuwa Yahaya has urged members of Tangali Kingdom, chiefdom in Biliri local government area of the state, to embrace unity, reconciliation and forgiveness as a pathway to lasting peace and development. Governor Inuwa made the call while receiving a delegation from the community who were on a solidarity visit to the government house in the state capital. The governor stressed that genuine reconciliation is essential following the crisis that trailed the appointment of the paramount ruler in the community known as May Tangali, noting that peace and harmonious coexistence remain critical to the stability of Gombe State.
It's a landmark meeting as a delegation from Tangali Chiefdom in Biliri local government area pays a solidarity visit to the Gombe State Government House. 8 communities making up the Tangali Chiefdom, led by the monarch, His Royal Highness Danladi Mayamba, and the political class, moved to end the political exile of the area. Dispute broke out in February 2021 following the death of the 15th May Tangali. However, the succession plan did not come peacefully as disagreements trailed the succession plan, leading to deaths and destruction. Governor Inuwa eventually appointed Malam Danladi Mayamba as the 16th May Tangali in March 2021 amidst disagreements and protests from the people.
Thank you so very much.
This meeting is part of efforts to reconcile the people and the state government over the dispute that trailed the appointment, which is opening a new relationship path for the people. The governor is elated at the new focus of the relationship.
A place, and I go by my place, that for me, this is the final stage on any reconciliatory effort that we have to make with regard to the issue. And I pray that all of you will go in the same spirit and work together with the government. If we don't work with government, there is no way progress will go to at the right pace and at the right speed. So we are lying together, work together, and celebrate the situation. Nigeria deserves that at this point in time.
For the political class, it's been a long walk to reconciliation.
Making the country come together, we cannot talk of somebody is left behind. Canada has come together and we are ready to go with the government.
I want to give you all the assurance that this peace is for the betterment of the people of Tangali, for the progress. Without peace, there will be no any other achievement.
Leaders of the community are hoping that the reconciliation effort will bring more development to the area and chart a new course with the administration of Governor Inuwa Yahaya.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, Central Bank reports increase in loan defaults by households and corporates in Nigeria's Q4 2025. That's some business news. Let's join us again.
Welcome back. And to other stories now, Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State had convened his expanded stakeholder security meeting, issuing clearer guidelines to traditional leaders on their roles on crime prevention and mitigation within their respective domains. The meeting was attended by heads of all security agencies, emirs, chiefs, and other relevant government officials. Governor Mohammed emphasized the need for constant vigilance to tackle evolving security threats and to prevent the escalation of minor crimes into major challenges.
Let me be clear on issues that must not be tolerated. That is one, sale or allocation of land without due process, government approval, or legal documentation. 2, harboring, shielding, or protecting suspected criminals, whether knowingly or by negligence. 3, interference with local security operations. And lastly, use of traditional authority to legitimize illegality. Silence in the face of crime is complicity. Authority without responsibility is abuse. Information gathering and reporting framework. Every emirate and district is expected to establish a simple but reliable system for 1, receiving information from village heads, ward heads, and community leaders, filtering credible intelligence from rumors, promptly reporting security relevant information to local government authorities, divisional police officers, and security informations. Information delays is information defeated.
The FCT Commissioner of Police, Mela Dantwaye, is appealing to residents of the nation's capital to speak up and report activities of vandals and other criminals. Speaking in Abuja while displaying 296 armored cables recovered from 13 vandals, Mr. Dantwaye says the cooperation of residents will aid the operations of security agencies in checkmating the activities of these criminals. He also reiterated his appeal to residents to be security conscious while boarding public vehicles, as police remains determined to deal with illegal transporters who operate unauthorized motor parks with the aim of robbing victims.
A lot has been going on, and we have leveraged on Operation Sweep to conduct raid operations, to conduct serious patrols within the city of FCT. That aside, our tactical teams have also been very committed towards policing FCT. Based on intelligence, they've been able to recover a lot of exhibits and some suspects arrested. We have also successfully recovered about 176 manhole covers. We have succeeded as well in recovering 2 transformers from these vandals. That's unfortunate. The federal government is committing its best, and hoodlums will think that they will sabotage the efforts of the federal government. Some of these vandalized cables and manhole covers were recovered in vehicles that have tints. So we're going to intensify our operations. We have directed that as our pin down points are activated and as our patrols are ongoing, we will concentrate on such vehicles that have tints.
The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency has inaugurated a new National Emergency Operations Center team to tackle polio in Nigeria. The executive director of the agency, Dr. Muyi Aina, who inaugurated the team in Abuja, emphasized the need for a problem-oriented solution framework and data-driven decision-making. Dr. Aina stressed the importance of structure, mindset, and collaboration, and clarified that outputs and decisions will be routed back through technical working groups, reinforcing accountability and feedback loops.
We want to re-empower the NEOC to do what an NEOC should do, which is a delivery unit. There's a command and control structure for any emergency response. And so we're re-centralizing decision-making for the polio program at the NEOC. All of us will weigh in. All of our institutions have capabilities and contributions to make. All of our friends and other working group members, will provide input. But the decision-making for the polio program will sit in the NEOC, and none of us will have the ability or mandate to go out and pursue institutional alternatives. I think that's one of the things that we're hoping to rally everybody around here.
The 36-member team, which is led by Dr. Audu Idowu, is expected to deliver effective responses and focus on actions and results. Established in 2012, the center serves as a central hub for managing and coordinating polio eradication activities in the country.
I strongly believe that if we're able to do this, the road of polio virus interruption is going to be smooth and easy for us. But let me say clearly that, of course, there will be challenges along the line. But with teamwork, dedication, we will get there. We are assuring you this morning that we are going to work as a team based on the guides of this reforming. Strong accountability, data-driven decision-making, more presence in the fields, and acknowledging local innovations to be able to achieve our interventions.
And in politics, there are over 128,000 uncollected permanent voter cards in the Federal Capital Territory ahead of the area council elections come February this year. That's according to the resident electoral commissioner for the FCT, Aminu Idris. According to him, 128,000 uncollected PVCs comprising new and old registrants who are yet to collect their cards. He was speaking on efforts to clean up the voter register ahead of the elections next month. And the INEC boss says the commission discovered over 4,000 multiple registrations which have now been removed from the register.
Following review by the Commission, about 4,548 of those intending voters did multiple registration. So by the time the multiple registration was removed from the total, a total of 102,307 new registrants registered to participate in the FCT election. A total of 128,396 PVCs are available for collection. This is made up of the newly registered voters as well as voters that requested for transfers and updates to their registration details. PVCs from previous registration exercise are also available for collection in this period. Let me emphasize that the PVC remains the only valid document that qualifies a registered voter to be accredited and to vote on election day. The Commission has scheduled Thursday, 22nd January to Monday, 26th January 2026 for the collection of the PVCs. This will be done across the 6 area councils at the registration areas of the 6 area councils.
Moving to the world of business now, Dominic Iwiwu is standing by to take us through those stories.
Thank you, Anna. And on business news, banks have recorded an increase in loan defaults by households and corporates in the fourth quarter of 2025, reflecting growing repayment pressures on consumers and businesses. The central bank disclosed this in its Credit Conditions Survey (CCS) report for final 3 months of last year. According to the CBN survey, lenders reported higher default rates for secured, unsecured and all corporate lending types in Q4 2025, reflecting sustained financial strain on borrowers amid prevailing economic conditions. At the same time, the CBN says demand for credit also strengthened, particularly for consumer loans, mortgages, overdrafts and corporate facilities for inventory financing and capital investment. And now the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, in collaboration with the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund, has flagged off the 2025 edition of the NECA NSITF Workplace Intervention Project SWIP with an interactive enlightenment forum and award ceremony. The event, which drew captains of industry, policymakers and organized private sector leaders, had the Minister of Labour and Employment and the Minister of State for Labour in attendance, as participants renew calls for safer workplaces and improve compliance with employee compensation regulations.
Making the workplace safe is the pivotal factor for this gathering, as the NECA NSITF Workplace Intervention Project 2025, a critical platform aimed at deepening awareness on workplace safety, employees' compensation, and industrial harmony across Nigeria's labor ecosystem, takes center stage. Industry leaders, regulators, and employers engaged in robust conversations on creating safer work environments, reducing occupational hazards, and strengthening compliance with the employees' compensation scheme. First is the keynote speaker, the Minister of Labour and Employment, who emphasized that protecting workers remains central to productivity, economic growth, and sustainable industrial development.
I want to thank each and every member who has made presentations here, and to say that you have done very well and you are contributing greatly to the success of what we are doing as a government and to the success of what the National Assembly is going to do.
On her part, the Minister of State for Labour also emphasized the need for stronger collaboration between government, employers and employees.
I wish to reaffirm that this administration will not compromise on occupational safety and health. We are strengthening enforcement of the Factory Act, and we'll be calling you very soon to come and partner with us and make sure that those laws are reviewed and is passed with speed of light.
For NECA, the Workplace Intervention Project represents more than advocacy, while the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund (NSITF) reaffirms its commitment to prompt compensation, efficient service delivery, and continuous engagement with employers.
A 10th convention was added, which is the Occupational Health and Safety Convention, to reinforce the need of occupational health and safety in the workplace. So OSH is no more an option. It's no more a necessity. It has become a fundamental part of the issues in the workplace.
We will advocate and continue to advocate for workplace safety. We will work together with industry stakeholders to strengthen and continue to strengthen compliance, and we will celebrate excellence where we find it.
A major highlight of the event was the award ceremony. The NECA NSITF SWIP 2025 Forum reinforces a clear message. Safer workplaces are not optional, but essential.
Now on day 2 of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Nigeria is sharpening its global investment pitch using its new Nigeria House Pavilion to sell reforms, growth prospects and long-term opportunities to international investors. Speaking at the forum, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, gives more details on Nigeria's participation at the annual global event.
Global capital today is cautious.
It's a competitive environment. Trade rules are shifting. There's fragmentation. There's a retreat from globalization. There's a retreat from multilateralism. And indeed, I might say there's a retreat from empathy, if you count empathy as capital flows from the developed to the developing country. They are in reverse. More is being paid in debt service and obligations than is being received. And of course, the geopolitical risks are heightened. We have all seen that played out in front of us on our screens.
Now, Nigeria's stock market ended Tuesday's trading session in the green, reversing the previous losses recorded on Monday. Willie Bong tells us more.
Welcome, and let's check in on these markets. The NGX made a rebound today following that red close we saw on Monday. We're still seeing a light performance today, however, the ASI coming in at 9 basis points, and that took the index higher to 166,256 points, and less than 100 billion naira added in terms of value. And now we saw buy interest in oil and gas tickers. Let's look at it. O&O, Aradel, they pushed that counter up 2.4% higher. Surplus, however, closed flat, but above its open price. And we all remember the company just announced the completion of the 11-kilometer Indorama gas export pipeline. Let's see which stocks made it to the top 3. We'll see the Police Bank, Microfinance Bank there at 10%, closed at 4.30 kobo. On the flip side, aluminium and extrusion fell short, leading the losers today. Now the bull is back, however, but let's hope they stay on top. And those are the highlights. Will Ivan signing out.
Thank you, Will. Now let's find out what the closing figures of major global markets was for Tuesday. And that's it on Business News. Back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Dominic. And outside our shores, U.S. President Donald Trump says that there is no going back on his plan to take over Greenland, claiming that Greenland is imperative for national and world security. Here's Simon Puse with the rest of international stories in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Donald Trump says the UK's plan to hand over sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius is an act of great stupidity. He says the deal, in which the UK would lease a military base on the territory while handing over sovereignty, is one of the reasons he wants the US to take over Greenland. The Trump administration had previously backed the deal. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has said the 99-year lease on the UK-US military base after sovereignty is handed over will cost the UK £101 million a year.
Do you have a message for Europeans who are concerned about the messages from the White House around Greenland this week?
Yeah, it's time to buck up. It's time to get serious and stop being complicit.
A large Russian aerial strike on Ukraine has again left half of Kyiv's residential buildings without heating or power, as temperatures across the country continue to hover around -10 degrees. Drones, ballistic and cruise missiles targeted several locations in Ukraine, including Kyiv, Dnipro in the centre, and Odessa in the south. Air raid alerts in the capital lasted for most of the night. On Tuesday, sirens rang out again as Russian drones and cruise missiles approached the capital. President Volodymyr Zelensky said a significant number of targets had been intercepted.
I'm alive. I don't know how my family is.
Uganda's opposition leader Bobby Wine says he will not contest the result of Thursday's election in court, citing a lack of confidence in the judiciary, and has instead urged his supporters to take to the streets to protest peacefully. Speaking from hiding, he said he would continue to stand up to President Yoweri Museveni despite concerns for his safety. The 81-year-old Museveni won the vote by a landslide and has accused the opposition of seeking to overturn the results through violence, calling them terrorists.
I asked the confused people to come back to...
He gained 72% of the vote, while Wine, his closest challenger, got 25%. Wine maintains the results are fake and has cited ballot stuffing without providing any details.
I would love to be in my home. I've not changed my clothes in days. I want to be home. I want to be free. I want to take care of my people. But the military and police have taken over my home. This is a crackdown to intimidate, to silence, and to completely, subdue the forces of change. This time, not the police, not the military, but Electoral Commission officials took part in critiquing ballot papers in favor of General Museveni. Glad enough, we have record of them. We have videos of them doing that.
Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has announced 3 days of national mourning for victims of the high-speed train crash that killed at least 41 people. Sanchez also promised to get to the bottom of why the two high-speed trains collided in southern Spain. Heavy machinery is being used to assist in the recovery. Rescuers worked through a second night and said the death toll included 3 bodies still trapped in the wreckage. More than 120 people were injured when carriages on a Madrid-bound train derailed and crossed over to the opposite tracks. The crash is the worst the country has seen in more than a decade. Australia's Parliament has voted for sweeping gun law reforms and a crackdown on hate speech, a month after 2 attackers shot 15 people dead at a Jewish festival at Bondi Beach. Both bills passed the House of Representatives and the Senate at a special sitting late on Tuesday. The gun reform measures include a national gun buyback scheme and new checks on firearm licence applications. The Home Affairs Minister said the Bondi gunman would not legally have had access to firearms if such a law had been in place prior to the attack. The bitterly cold winter, even by Ukrainian standards, has brought the occasional beautiful scene, as well as pain and disruption for residents. Here, one of the country's tallest waterfalls completely frozen, attracting visitors from far and wide. Temperatures in the area have dropped to -20 in recent weeks, causing the rare phenomenon. And more than 100 vehicles were involved in a pileup that closed the interstate road in Ottawa County in Michigan. State police reported that there had been multiple injuries but no fatalities. One man involved in the accident said he could barely see the cars in front of him due to the snow when driving at 20 miles per hour before the crash. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. Tens of thousands of Senegal football fans lined the streets of Dakar earlier today as the Lions of Teranga began a victory parade to mark the triumph in the Africa Cup of Nations finals against Morocco. The players and coaches brandished their trophy from an open-top bus, which inched its way through the crowds. Old and young, men and women turned out along the parade route, some lining the streets, while others washed on from buildings or bridges. Some fans ran alongside the bus as it slowly progressed down the highway. What is seen there in Senegal? Well, the 2025 AFCON hosted by Morocco has also been received with mixed reactions following the conclusion of the continent's biggest football showpiece. The question remains if the tournament has provided a comprehensive test of the country's capacity to deliver major international sporting events of the highest global level. Our sports correspondent Austin Okonakpan reports.
A
it's a wrap on the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations right here in Morocco. How did Morocco perform with organizing this competition? Was the football good? Administratively, how did the Confederation of African Football perform? I spoke to some sports analysts and they gave their honest assessments. Let's check them out.
8 over 10 AFCON, in my opinion. A few niggles here and there, but they're expected in the tournament. Morocco gave us, all things considered, an AFCON that Africa would struggle to match in a lot of senses, you know. This is my 8th. I cannot remember. In fact, there is no AFCON I have covered where it took me only 10 minutes to get through, or 15 minutes maximum, to get through security from the road to the media center. It's never happened before.
The refereeing has been a bit awful. I think if you allow that penalty, you should have also allowed Senegal's goal. They didn't allow the VAR to review at all. They just continued play. But when it was Morocco's turn, they went to VAR and awarded a penalty. That's not a good thing. And for such a beautiful tournament, that could have taken the shine off such a final and such a host, such a tournament Morocco has hosted.
I think about the referees, of course, that's sure, because so many games and so many teams talk about the referees. So I think it's a problem. They have to improve. They have to change many things. And also with the tickets, you know, on so many games, you cannot find tickets for the game, and after that you see the stadium not full, is sometimes 20-30%, and we don't understand.
I would say it's pretty awesome, to be honest. Aside from the game against Nigeria and everything, that just made me lose hope and everything. But to be honest, the hospitality is 100. They are so friendly, they are so nice. I don't know if it's because of football or something, but my experience with them has been so awesome. The hospitality, the organization, and it's beautiful.
Some good areas of improvements have been identified for the Confederation of African Football. I thought Morocco did a good job with this AFCON, but definitely we can improve. Next stop is Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. Is in 2027. It's just around the corner. So Africa must get to work, because our football is a good way of showcasing the continent to the world. Austin Okonakwam, Channels Television News, Rabat.
Well, that's a wrap here on sports. I'm Kelly. It's back to Anne.
And the main news again. Former Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola today advocated mandatory training for newly appointed ambassadors as part of Nigeria's reputation management strategy. Mr. Fashola was speaking at the first Nigeria Reputation Summit organized by the Nigeria Reputation Management Group, which is an initiative of the Nigeria Institute of Public Relations. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. Good night and stay safe.